right, welcome to this episode of Drill Down Dialogues. We're joined today with Sherri Hollenbeck. I'll introduce her in a second. I'm Stephen Nance, partner at DrillDown Solution, where we focus on doing what we can to put our clients in the best financial position possible. Our goal is to always increase wealth and freedom for our clients, and Drill Down Dialogues is an expansion of that, where we have guests like Sherri, who's going to talk about what she does and give you some insights into what she does as a dental coach, dental consultant. Always enjoy talking with you, Sherri. Sherri, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm really good. Thanks for having me.
And Sherri comes with a lot of good background. She's been in the industry for, I'll let you tell her, I'll let you tell them how long, but she's seen a lot of it, a lot of what's out there. She's still seeing it. Sherri, with that, tell us who you are, tell us what you do, tell us about your professional background.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Stephen. Yes, my name is Sherri. I actually live in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I'm born and raised in the South. And I have been working with small business owners for more than 30 years. Not all in the dental world. The dental world's a little over 13 years. But before that, I was always working with small business owners. And what I found in any industry that I've worked in is the issues are all the same. Everybody's looking for their profits to be more. Everybody's looking for their team and the people that they hire and surround themselves to do what they need them to do to grow and help move the ship in the right direction. And everybody's working in pretty much in the industries I've been in. Everybody's working with the physical space and the limited limitations and capacity of that physical space. So when I moved from one industry to another, I found that really those things still exist. People are still involved. There are still customers, there are still team
Mhm.
members, there's still physical space, and there's still profitability. So it has all applied across all of my experience, which has been
Yeah.
awesome.
And dental specifically has it's an evolving industry,
Yes.
right? So what
Yes.
are some of the problems that you're seeing now specific to the dental industry?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. Number one is it is a lot harder now to find great help than there used to be. And
Mhm.
there's also a misunderstanding of Gen Z and even some Gen X generation a little bit. The generation before them, the boomers and the very beginning of the millennials, still had that high drive work ethic that and by that I'm not saying the other generations don't have a work ethic. What I'm saying is that high drive is you tie yourself to your job and that's all you do and that's what you eat, sleep, and breathe. And that's
Mhm.
what makes you a great worker and a better professional.
Mhm.
What the generations below that don't have that same mentality. So it is very difficult for many people that own a business to switch the way they perceive work and work ethic and start to work into that demographic. Um, Yes, there's still frustrations. Yes, there are still
Mhm.
people who don't really want to work. And unfortunately, 2020 kind of carved that out for us where people didn't work for a little while and thought that that was actually more fun than working. So there's a whole generation that's going, oh, this is what work is. So that's been a very interesting part of it. The other piece of it that I see is leadership development is becoming really important. And there's so many times in a practice that the owner names people in the practice to be leaders or managers or whatever. And really, they just kind of give them the baton and let them run, but they don't even know what they're running to, running for, running, why they're running. There's just a
Mhm.
whole lot of missing gaps there. Um, I also see that there are several practices that are now moving to multiple practices and not necessarily trying to build a giant DSO with hundreds of practice locations, but even just 3 or 4 or 5 locations changes the dynamic of how they get across culture, leadership, operations, their processes, their systems start to really fall apart. When they add on that second one, they stretch themselves. When they add on the third one, that's when it really exposes all the weaknesses. So helping the leaders and managers and the owner understand how to succinct that for faster growth is one that I'm noticing. And I guess the final one I would say, and I'm going on a long tangent with this, but there's several things. The next one would be employee wages. Is really affecting a lot of practices and
Mhm.
profitability they're used to. And if they're in network with PPOs, they're not getting paid like they used to. The PPOs have not kept up in reimbursement.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of dynamics that is putting a bunch of stress on the bottom line. And
Yeah.
I think practice owners are a little afraid of investment in
Mm.
their teams and in other things. So working through that to show that what happens on the other side of that investment, I think is really important.
Yeah. And there's a smart way to do that,
Yes.
and there's less smart ways of doing that, right? You can certainly throw your money away. That doesn't guarantee a result.
Yes.
But doing it right. So what can you tell us in a few minutes about what the solution or the secret sauce might be in a simple summary? That I know there's a lot more to that conversation that could take days or weeks or longer. But what are some of the summaries high level that help with that?
For the profitability shrinkage or
Well, yeah, for all of that, all those things that are creating such stress on the bottom line, you've got, you maybe from the older doctors, it may seem as kind of an entitlement mentality from the new team members, younger team members, as well as wages that have increased, and it's hard to keep up with all that, as well
right,
as, low PPO reimbursements, all those stresses on the bottom line.
right.
What can you do about it?
Well, I do think that the dental industry has been a little behind in its wages as far as comparing it across the board. Um,
Mm,
so I don't think it's a horrible thing for the reset of some of the wages that practices are going to have to pay, that people, front desk team assistants are coming in the door asking for. But I think along with that, there needs to be a lot of clarity and communication of job expectations and the role. And I think that gone are the days of, I'm going to pay you this wage, maybe fair, maybe on the lower side of fair, but I'm really just going to kind of throw you into the mix and let's hope you figure it all out and hope that it all
mhm.
sticks and it all works. And me as the owner, I don't want to put a lot of time and effort into developing you as an employee, no matter what level you came in the door, right? So I think that it's changed in, if I'm going to pay these dollars, which I think in most cases is fair, what they're asking. At the same time, there's got to be a process for great onboarding, great implementation of the role, and great accountability as they go. And what I do find is most owners are busy being in the clinic, being in the mouth, and they haven't spent a lot of time on the communication of those types of things, or they haven't spent a lot of time communicating that to their leaders and managers and having them hold the team more accountable. Accountability is the biggest word. Whenever I talk to anybody, it's like, how do I hold my team accountable? And back to the question of the higher wages, I think accountability is key, and it's what makes it feel that it's worth it to pay the money if everybody's driving the boat in the same direction. So putting those pieces together really helps elevate the whole practice. But it takes some time. It isn't like tomorrow that starts, and
Mhm.
we are in an instant gratification culture. So everybody says, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you work with my team, and then we want the results tomorrow." So it does
Yeah.
take a little time. It also takes time of being sure that the team, know what levers to pull to push things in the practice to make it grow. A lot of times it's one or two people that hold that key, and the team doesn't even know what to do to help it. And they can help a lot if they're trained and coached that way from their leaders and their owners. So I think that's a big part of it. In the reimbursement world, I'll be really honest with you. I'm seeing a lot of conversation of my practices that have been around a while, not newer practices, but practices that have been around 15, 20 years are really looking at how to come out of a lot of PPOs.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be, it was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm kind of like, let's assess if that makes sense for you. Because I've got a couple that are out of, and honestly, they're doing incredible and they
Yeah.
aren't skipping a beat. It all depends on your demographic, your geographic area, right? What kind
Mm-hmm.
of competition you have, what kind of needs you have as far as patient flow and things like that. If you've got multiple doctors, if you've, what are you doing in marketing? There's a whole lot of dynamics. You just don't make that decision tomorrow and say, let's just drop them
Yeah.
all and free fall it, right? There's
Yeah.
got to be a smart way to do it. But I have seen a couple practices recently do it and do really well with it. The other option is that, you could hire a company that helps you try to negotiate those fees. They're not budging a lot though. I'll be honest. I've had a couple get a point
Mm.
or two,
Mm.
which will help, but it's a lot of work to do, and
Mm.
you don't want to take your front desk all their time on focusing on patient care, patient retention, patient front facing stuff, for your experience to do all of that. So you may want to get a third party to see if you can try it. That's kind of where I'm seeing everybody with it. But I do have a couple right now talking about, I mean, many have dropped down from 8 to like 3. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
interesting to see. And it hasn't hurt them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
Very interesting. Back to the topic of wages and setting expectations and accountability. What's your take on production-based compensation for hygiene?
A company that I worked with before was very hygiene focused, and I'm a 100% believer that that's the driver of the practice, truly, because that's what the patient perceives, right? So the patient, when they've got an issue, an ache, or whatever, they want to see the dentist. But other than that, for their maintenance, they think of the practice as the hygienist. They think
Yeah.
of their cleaning is the practice, right? Unless I got an issue, I don't really need the doctor, right? Is a
Yeah. Me
mentality.
as a patient, how the hygienist treats me
Yes.
makes
Yes.
all the difference in my experience.
Absolutely. And they've got the most connection with the hygienist usually because
Yep.
they're with them a couple times a year, typically. So I think production-based compensation makes the most sense. Hygienists as a group are usually fairly competitive, are usually driven in a different way than somebody who's just on a normal hourly base.
Hmm.
And if they are trained well and working as one of my friends says at the top of their license, they really, really are so focused on patient care and over delivering in high standards of patient care that I think that they should be rewarded for just not scraping teeth,
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
should be about that.
Well, I mean, if it's done right, it's a win-win for everyone, right? The
Absolutely.
patient, the doctor, and the owner doctor, and the hygienist. The hygienist
Absolutely.
can make more money, the doctor can make more money, and the
Yes.
patient has a better experience. So, what's the best ratio? What's the best way to structure that
Well,
production-based
you
compensation?
there's different formulas at it, and honestly, I'm not the biggest expert on this, but I will tell you the way that I've seen it is you have to consider what their hourly pay is, and then it's a ratio to multiply that, divided into what a daily production rate would be before you can pay a percent. So you're creating a baseline and
Okay.
then creating a percent over that baseline. So if they don't hit that goal, they're getting nothing, right?
Yeah.
But you can't pay them an extra compensation on production if you're already paying them a high rate, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so you have to set it based on what they're making hourly. And you have to also remember to consider that if their hourly rate goes up or if something changes in providers in the practice, you just have to reevaluate that and make sure that it still makes sense. It's not a chasing scale. So some practices will create a bonus for the practice overall for the whole team. And it's
Uh-huh.
based on a certain dollar of collection or production, net production, but it'll be based on that. And then they keep it that. And then after it's hit a couple of months in a row, they change it and they keep raising it because they're raising the bar, right? Or they're taking that carrot a little further away to keep the team chasing it after they've been hitting it. You don't do that with hygienists.
Yeah.
Hygienists, they're set, and you're always going to hope that they are driving to beat that number. And the only way you change it is if you've changed their hourly rate. It also, another benefit of production-based compensation for hygienists is that it helps increase their hourly rate if you're showing it to them with that bonus included.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're getting paid $43 an hour, but with the bonus, you're really making $46 an hour. That's a lot more attractive to have some option for them to have a way to earn more money instead of always having to get a raise. Because from the profitability side, at some point, you've hit a ceiling. You can't just keep giving everybody an hourly raise every single year to the tune of what everybody wants it to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Without growth. So,
Sherri, as you know, there are many options for dental practices, for dental consulting, dental coaching. You're one of those options.
yes.
What's different about your approach, would you say, than your competition, or what experience a dentist might have elsewhere? What's different about your approach?
So, there are tons of us out here, and I think every single person that is doing this, probably the majority, 90% of them, have really great stuff, really great content, really great information, and really great guidance. I'd say number one, coaching without commitment is nagging. And so if you're going to consider a coach, you got to be all the way committed to it, or no matter what they say, it's going to be like nagging. And I feel like people hire coaches and they're in that stage that they're not 100% committed, but
Yeah.
they need something. So they don't really listen or implement because it's nagging, right?
Hmm.
What I would say for me is that if you were to hire me, you don't pay me to lie to you. Like I'm going to tell you exactly what I see. And I'm going to tell you exactly where I feel like improvement is needed. And sometimes that's with the individual owner.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and in all fairness, most of them really know. They already know that it really is starting with them. I think I've got, as some of my clients have told me, I have a kind slash honest approach, and that
Yeah.
I'm not ugly about it. I don't want to go into any practice and throw out everything they've done and get them to start all over or tell them
Yeah.
anything they're doing is wrong. Most of the time, what they're doing is good. There just needs some tweaks, some
Yeah.
small improvements, some bridges in communication, some just evaluating what is working and what isn't working, and start to make slow changes towards the fixes. I think most people are scared. Most owners are scared because they hired a coach that came in and said, "You're doing it all wrong, change it all up," and then their team wigged out and either quit or just refused to do anything, and it was a total waste of money. So
Mm.
I like to do is it's kind of like we're doing this together, right? And I
Yeah.
want to get the leaders or anybody that's going to be affected by this on the same page with me. So
Yeah.
I want them to meet me. I want them to talk to me. I want them to see that I'm not going to bite. I'm not going to have them do
Mhm.
anything they don't want to do. And I'm using metrics. So it's kind of like facts versus feelings. So when I first talk to a practice, mostly it's feelings. Oh, we always do that. Oh, yeah, we never do that. Or oh, yeah, we're great at that. But the
Mhm.
numbers don't show that they are.
Yep. Yep.
So that's really hard to bridge that gap from that emotional attachment that we're really good at this versus the facts that are saying maybe there's work to be done, right?
Yeah.
And so that delicate balance back and forth. I've coached hundreds of practices, hundreds of them. And I would tell you that I feel like I do a really good job of bridging that and not and helping them feel proud of what they've accomplished and excited about what they can accomplish and how much more is still available to them. I also bring in some personal stuff. Like I recommend books. I talk to them about books. I ask them about other things in their life because, when they leave those four walls, they still have a life they're living. How is that? How's that going for them? I'm not a counselor, just, connecting all the dots, because a happy life, a happy business, what is good for business is also good for life, and
Yeah.
vice versa. So I love to connect those things. And I'm small. I'm not trying to have hundreds and hundreds of clients and do all
Yeah.
that. So I'm able to really customize what the practice needs, what the
Yeah.
needs, hear their thing, because practices are different. Some
Yeah.
of their issues are the same, but theirs is probably unique to the one that's in the next state or the next city or even on the next road, right?
Yeah. So many good things you shared, Sherri. Thank you so much. If people want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can email me at Sherri, SHERRI, at Sherri Hollenbeck, SHERRIHOLLENBECK.com. Or they could text me at 404-625-4691.
Excellent. Well,
Awesome.
Sherri, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it.